So we will get started here. My name is Tim Rochette, and I am a systems engineer here at Deltek. Today I'll be going through the Vision Performance Management and very short PowerPoint presentation today. Just 2 slides. Just want to be able to really set the table for what we'll be talking about. The first slide that we're seeing here, the principles behind Vision Performance Management. And really these are the core ideas, the core of the business drivers of Vision Performance Management. Or as we love our acronyms, so you're going to hear a lot of VPM out of me today. So we want to spend more time making decisions, less time going through the data. You're going to see a lot of visuals here as we go through the performance management modules. A lot of items that really sum the information up. They're exactly what principals are asking for, and more time seeing information and acting upon making the best decisions there as opposed to having to culminate all that information in one area. Completely, totally role appropriate. We have our project managers see different items than our principals, or our CRM folks being able to see information that's different from our accounting folks. So definitely role appropriate. We have security built into the system. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the system. We can set our own goals within the VPM system, so we know exactly where we stand against where our company wants us to. We have a historical and predictive analysis, looking backwards, looking forwards. We have the real-time scrutiny, not after-the-fact reactions. So we'll talk also a little bit about that. We have the ability to have that information be as live as really the last time we were able to update our cubes. We'll talk about that cube philosophy as well. And this effective decision-making. The tool is very robust. So really part of the VPM implementation is you deciding what you would like to see visually. You could work with Deltek or one of our partners to assist you in being able to create those VPM dashboards, those interactive dashboards, if you will, and be able to see what you need to help you make good business decisions. One more slide here. I want to just very briefly talk about the components of VPM that we'll be going through today. We'll be talking first about visualization. This is a piece of the solution that has been around for quite a few years now. It's the colored boxes if you've seen that before, but now it's packaged with the VPM module. We'll speak with the visualization component first. The analysis cubes, that's some of the behind-the-scenes technology that allows the Vision Performance Management to work. ACE is something that where we have a separate database that sums up all the detail of the numbers that we work with on a regular basis in order to make sure that those reports are working quickly, and we can very easily create those reports in the, last but not least, presentation layer. Presentation layer is really Tableau, one of the industry-leading business intelligence tools, where we have the ability to create reports, to be able to see the information or create new dashboards that help us make good decisions about our business. So visualization, analysis cubes, and presentation layer. That will really be the 3 components that we'll hit today during the visualization, during the VPM demonstration. As discussed, very short PowerPoint, just 3 slides, in order to frame the conversation, and we could jump right into the solution. So here we are. We are in our Vision dashboard. And very briefly, I want to talk about the visualization first. Here, as you can see, we're looking at this information on our dashboard, and we can see that these little boxes are very meaningful within our solution. The color of these boxes equals the job-to-date profit. So blue is good down here at the bottom, white is average, and red is not so good. I'm using averages, so we get our full spectrum of colors, but we have the ability to really set what we'd like these colors to be, set our thresholds, so we can make sure that we're seeing exactly what we'd like to see. The size of the box is equal to the total compensation, also very important, because this Brookville job that we're looking at, much more total comp than this smaller study job down here at the bottom, and we want that to be bigger to jump out at us that much more. If there's a risk on a bigger box job, it's a bigger risk than if it's on a smaller box job. Last but not least, we also see the grouping here. Grouping allows us to sort and group this any way that we'd like. So as you can see today, project manager name, project short name when we're looking at our profit. I could switch this, and I could look at this from a organizational perspective if I'm more of an office manager or a principal. And I can see here that my Denver engineering office doing great, my Chicago environmental office, I see a lot of red here. So this could be a trend that I'm seeing that could make me a little bit nervous, and might want to dig in a little bit more or ask a few questions of whoever's in charge of that Chicago environmental group. The power of visualization, as you did see, comes from really changing the way that we're looking at the data. Job to date profit, very important, but not always the full picture. Perhaps I'd like to look at this from an AR perspective. And I can see I have some big red risks here, things that need my attention. As I hover over these, I can right-click, and I can learn more about this. I could drill deeper into the color by running a number of reports that I have saved here in order to really see the details behind the colors on the screen. Also, from the grouping perspective, I could see that's happening in Denver engineering with that big Four Seasons job, but who is the individual that I need to speak with? Switch it back to project manager view, and I can see here that Alexander Dane is going to be getting a phone call from me. So I could follow up, why is the AR this way? Why is this job so unhealthy? We've had a number of clients using this software, and it's also been called a very effective shaming tool when our project managers are looking at this and seeing that big red box next to their name. And we've also been able to have a number of our clients, they've rolled it out individual to the project managers. So if I'm William Berry, I don't see everything. I log in, I just see my projects, and I know what actions I need to take on my projects in order to make this, in order to right the ship and to avoid those risks. A few other components on the visualization. What we're seeing today is more of an accounting focus of visualization. We could also see this from a CRM and business development perspective. We can have those colors jumping out of this on the ages of the jobs. As you know, business developers, the older a job is, the less likely we are to win that job. So anything that is red and at risk, that could be a job that's been open, that could be an opportunity that's been open for a long time that we need to follow up on to either close that opportunity, take it off the books so we're not forecasting for that amount, or know that we need to call and follow up and stay on top of this one because it has been out there quite a while and it does need our attention. We can also see this from a project planning perspective. We can compare our plan numbers to our actuals and be able to identify any risks. The white again, those are averages. It's very close to the middle. There's not a lot of different variance between our planned and our actual, so those are going on just as they should. We should just follow up to make sure the work's getting done, but according to our plan versus actual hours, cost, or bill, they're exactly where we need them to be. The red, we can be over budget on this, and of course that's a risk for your organization. We could also have a bright blue here, and that would mean that we're underutilized. That could be another risk that we might not be able to deliver to the client on time because the staff that we're putting on this job is getting pulled in a lot of different directions. So once again, visualization, having that red box jump out at us, being able to very quickly identify risks and being able to identify what needs our attention. We have a quick pause here. We do have a questions box available. Please feel free to use those questions box. Based on the size of today's audience, we do not have the ability to turn on our audio to allow questions to be asked. So if you do have the questions box, if you have any questions, please use the questions box as part of the go-to meeting. If you do not see the questions box or if you've closed it, feel free to click that view button at the top of the go-to webinar box, and you can very quickly add that in. I'll be monitoring those questions as we go through today's session, as will Paul Flaherty, is going to be our host who will jump on from time to time, letting us know that we do have some questions and making sure we get those addressed. To nip it in the bud right away, we do not have the answers on the cost of the solution. That's something that you can speak to your partner or to your account manager about as far as what that would be at your organization. Moving through, the next box that we wanted to speak to within the solution would be the cubes. So going to here, the easiest way to see the cubes is to see it through the Microsoft Excel solution. Excel is connecting to our SQL database where our cubes reside. And as you can see, we have the ability here to have all the different metrics that are available within those cubes and be able to identify them here. We have documents available here going into detail as far as which ones are available, but about 1,600 different fields are available to be used within these reportings. If you do have an interest in receiving a copy of that document, please let us know. We'd be happy to get that out to you. If you are not using the Vision Performance Management, you do not have the expanded cubes. You have the regular cubes. And in those, there's about 85 different fields that are available to be used on a regular basis. They're still very powerful. Not everything that's out there, but you still have the ability to connect via Excel and be able to help you run the reports. To give you a little bit of paint a picture of who's using this, it tends to be more of our accounting folks who are doing the end of the period, end of the quarter, end of the year reports to get these out of the system. We can use the full power of Excel here. So as you can see, I'm looking at some of my total labor hours here. And the reason I have the colors, I'm using some of my conditional formatting that's directly out of Excel in order to do that. So we have these different numbers that are jumping out where if it's over a certain number or under a certain number, it's going to be a certain color, and that's just using the power of Excel. Other pieces of Excel that we can use, we have any graphing. We can use that power of Excel in order to see that any way that we choose. As I go through, just highlight a couple of different fields. We absolutely have a lot of the project fields, a lot of the GL fields here as well. There's some CRM, there's some project planning fields here as well that allow us to really look at this information any way that we see fit. So also here that I'd like to show is that we have the ability to make any changes. As you can see, I'm looking at the calendar. I can dig into my calendar a bit more and learn more about it or change the way that I'm looking at it. I'm showing fiscal years. Perhaps instead of fiscal years, I choose to look at months. I can also see here that I'm looking at my row labels are going to be my employees. As you can see the line here of employees. And my values, I'm looking at labor total hours here. Very easy to make changes to that as well based on the fields that I have available. As you can see here, I'm going through and I'm finding some of my different fields that are available. And as opposed to looking at my labor total hours, perhaps I'd like to look at my overtime cost. That's one check away to add that to my system. As you can see, it's being added to the system, and we now have those fields are available. Do apologize for a little bit of demonstration data here. We don't have a whole lot of overtime hours in our system, but easy to note here that we are looking at that information on the report. Very easy to add that column or to take away any of my labor total hours here as well in order to make this the report that I'm looking for. These reports very easy to create, once again, to connect to the databases, to be able to see that information and to be able to see that, to use that in order to run the reports. I do see a quick question here that I did want to address today. The question was regarding, is this available to our SaaS clients? Right now, it is not available to our SaaS clients today. It is something that is coming very, very soon. We're here in Q2, and we'll be able to have that available to our SaaS clients. We're still working on the packaging and what that will include, whether it would be the analysis cubes as well as some of the VPM and Tableau reporting. My information I can give you right now is not right now, but please stay tuned. Ask your account managers, ask your partners, and they can keep you updated as far as when we do have that available in the various SaaS environments. I'll pause again. Paul, is there any other questions that we're getting at this time?
Yes, sir. There's another question in about the cubes, how the data gets there.
So how's the data get there? Fantastic question. We have, the process is really called refreshing the cubes. And what that does is it's somebody, one of your technical folks during the setup period, they set it up to say on a regular basis, whether it's once a day or twice a day, or as often as you'd like, usually twice a day is enough for the majority of my clients, they will actually set that up to create a cube from this data. It is setting all the information. I like to use AR as an example. AR has a lot of line items that are out there as far as in the database, or they're tied to one particular project or one particular time period. What the cubes can do is take all that information and quote unquote sum it up, make it very quickly, make it available for the VPM to not crunch those numbers, but to have those numbers readily available and to be able to place them on the reports. So from a technical perspective, it is set up. It's set up to another SQL database that we're pointing at on our SQL server. From the end user's perspective, it just happens automatically and is updated on a regular basis. You know from your own organization how often, and that's when you have the most up-to-the-moment numbers. And of course, as time goes on, the data gets a little bit older, but it is refreshed at a regular basis, be it daily, twice a day, or as often as you would like. One more pause. Paul, any other questions about the solution?
There was just a follow-on to that in terms of cubes, as you mentioned, are also available without VPM. And I just wanted to circle back that the process to update the cubes would be the same whether you have VPN or not.
Absolutely agree. And really the biggest difference between the two is the traditional cubes that have been around since early in version 7. They're free. There are about 85 different fields, I believe, and it's, once again, just set up so you can pull that information. The expanded cubes, once again, over 1,400 of those different fields available for you to use on your reports, as well as what we'll see in just a few moments in our presentation layer. Excellent. No other questions, so we're going to move on to the next component of the session. Today, we're also going to talk about our, let's minimize this screen here, and talk a little bit about the actual Vision Performance Management. The way I like to show this is I'll start with one of the different Vision Performance Management reports that we have out of the system. I like going through here and showing exactly how I'm adding it to the system to show how integrated it is. I have my Vision Performance Management dashboard, and I can add a report here directly to the system. Vision Performance Management ships with 42 different reports depending upon the different needs. And then we also provide the authoring tools so you can create whatever reports do meet your needs. As you can see, there's principals, there's project managers, there's organizational manager tools, and allows us to see this different information. What I'm going to do is select my AR report here and be able to save this report and be able to see this brand new Vision Performance Management dashboard appear in front of me. Once again, this is one of the out-of-the-box reports, and once again, we are using some of our demonstration data here, so we're not always going to see the best data, but what I really want you to see is be able to identify what's available with some of these reports. As you can see, we have the ability to have these slicers up at the top. So we have the ability to look at this from different perspectives as opposed to looking at all my project managers. So I just look at a certain manager or a certain project type, a certain billing client, or certain time frames and years here. Definitely have the ability to look at that information, be able to identify really any of the issues that are going on. As you can see, we have the different colors that are available. We have some of the and have the ability to work with this data quite a bit. So as I go down, I can see my different buttons where I have my share button down here at the bottom. I have the ability to, quote-unquote, share this. I could send this link to another individual who would be able to review this data. It would be that web link as well. I can also have the ability to look at the information in another solution. If we want to look at it at any web page that's out there or any device, very, very easy to do within the system. We also can include this in any of our, if we have a SharePoint website that we'd like to provide this information to our employees, very easy to do that as well. So very easy to look at some of the different ways of looking here and being able to use the data. We also have the ability here to remember my changes. So I did show those screens up at the very top where we have the ability to switch the way we're looking at the data. Absolutely have the ability to use that and to save that so you don't have to redo that every single time. Another quick report that I'd like to show that's an out-of-the-box, one of the 42 that we deliver here, is also my Charts at Billing report. So as you can see, we have the slicers up at the top in order to look at the different ways of looking at the information. We can see here that we have a percent and a realization ratio. And important to note, we have this little line here. This is our goal. This is our company goal that we'd like to stick with. So as I hover over, I can see that my variance percent here on my demonstration database is 30%. I'm well above that in my demonstration database. So you can also see my realization ratio, my goal versus where I actually stand. And if we were to drill down on any of these pieces of information, these numbers will refresh. We'd be able to see our goal versus our actual where we stand at any time. As I move through, I can also see some of my other reports down here at the bottom, my trend analysis at billing, and my revenue analysis as well. I have the same fields down here where I can share these or remember my changes. Once again, these are two of the 42 that are out of the box, that these are the way that they are. We also have the ability to create our own. I have a few examples where we did create our own. Also shortly, I'll show you the tool as far as how we were able to create these within the system. So what we put together here, this was my team was able to put a dashboard such as this together. We did not take formal Tableau training in order to create these dashboards. We were able to have or we're not programmers either. We were able to work with the data in order to make sure that we were getting what we wanted out of the system. And we were pretty proud of these different reports. And if you do have that background using Crystal reports or some of the SQL reporting services reports that are out there, it translates well. We'll show you that in just a few moments. As you can see, some of the information that we're showing here, we're looking at our month-over-month profit and revenue report where we can see that information. We could also see that we're looking at the, we could have our, and do apologize, there was a quick refresh accidental. I can see some of my scatter plots here where I'm looking at my different, projects. I'm looking at some of my AR here as well. I could change my slicers and dicers for the entire report that we're looking here, the dashboard. I can see here, if I scroll down a bit further, my different revenue types. My education facilities is really my bread and butter, where a lot of my revenue is coming from. See my AR over 60 and my project execution here as well. So these dashboards, really whatever is important to your users, absolutely have the ability to review that information and to be able to deliver that graphically so they can very quickly see what needs their attention, go on about their day. Going to pause for another moment here. Paul, any other questions that we have been coming up?
Yes, sir. There have been a couple. One I just answered in particular, but again, from a question perspective, it was just making the delineation or distinction between the cubes as the data layer and VPM as the presentation layer. So just clarifying points around that. That answer is available in the grid. Everyone should be able to see that. The other one, Tim, is around what version of SQL is required for the basic and VPM cubes.
Well, we'll follow up with that with some of the technical documents as there are some variances there, and I apologize, but I would never get them quite right if I don't have the reference in front of me. We will provide that to you at the end of the session with the technical information. Also, just to kind of compare the two into, I do see Paul did have a message there, but the very simple way that I've been able to describe it is that the cubes are behind the scenes, and it's really the foundation for which the presentation layer is built. The presentation layer is pulling the data from the cubes in order to create these very pretty graphs. It's also pulling it for that rows and columns reports that I showed in Excel. So the cubes allow VPM to work and the presentation layer to be very easy, very fast, and to create the reports that we'll show you in just a few moments. Paul, any others?
No, sir.
Excellent. So let's jump right into the authoring tool. So once again, this is using we are using the Tableau as our authoring tool here. Tableau, very, very powerful solution as far as getting that as being able to identify that information. What I'd like to show first is really when we have that blank Tableau report, as you can see, I have a lot of my different dimensions up here at the top. Dimensions are kind of how we're looking at it and how we're sorting and grouping all the different numbers that are within the system. We also have our measures down below. Measures are those numbers we're looking at. So as you can see, I have both these, all the different information here, all the different dimensions and measures right now. They are a dark black on your screen, which means it's all fair game. It's very open right now. As I start entering in some of this information, I start choosing which dimensions, all the links are made for you behind the scenes. So as you can see, I switched to this screen where I started pulling out my net revenue, my profit percentage, my billing fees, and my different years here at the top. When I do that, I can see it's locking down the system. I can see according to the way the system is constructed behind the scenes, there's no way to tie some of our employees to the net revenue field. So that's going to be grayed out. But we can absolutely start to pull some of our fiscal periods or opportunities, plans, presentation, projects here to these different numbers. If I was to open these up, I would see what fields are available here within using these screens. So it's a great system here as far as being able to keep you honest. Make sure that you're using the system and you're not doing a lot of work to find out it doesn't work. It's doing that check as you go through the system and making sure that the right fields are available as you're working with the system. As I move across the screen, I can also see the graphs, and these are really the lifeblood of the VPM and the Tableau presentation layer. Based on what data I have and how I'm looking at it, I have the ability to see what graphs are available. As you can see up here at the top, we have some of these mapping graphs, but the maps are not available because we're not pulling pulling any of our zip codes or regions out of the system. We can see here that we have some of these other types of graphs that are definitely available with us because they are bright in color. They're available for us to show any of this information in different ways. As you can see, I changed that from the data very quickly to more of a bar graph here. If I'd like to look at it in different ways, very easy to see that information, and I can choose which one works best based on the data that I want to show and who my audience would be. Some of the other pieces of information that I'm pulling through here, my AR over 60, always important, and as you can see, very quickly, very easily, pulling my fiscal month, pulling my AR over 60, and I can see the different graphs that are available to me. I can see my WIP as well. So, work in process, very simple numbers, looking at my any of my unbilled, my outstanding 90, or 360 here. Year-over-year revenue, this is going to look like a familiar report. Got a little hockey stick going on here, but once again, that's the data. Some of our AR aging. And the reason why I am going through each one of these individual is because we have the ability to put all these together. And we have a very powerful dashboard here that allows us to take those different pieces that we've been looking at, put it all on one screen, and now we have the ability to take the next step, to save this off of the Tableau, to make this a permanent part of Vision, and have it permanently available with us here in order to be able to see this information throughout the entire screen. So once again, kind of going back to my very quick screen here, my visualization, the different boxes that I'm looking at. Analysis cubes, we have the ability to look at the information, to save it in the database so we could reference it, being able to pull it from Excel, or be able to use it as the foundation for our presentation layer where we're looking at Tableau in order to be able to read those numbers, be able to get our very nice graphs out of the system, and provide a format for our principals, for our project managers, for our entire business staff to be able to very quickly be able to see the graphs, be able to act upon what they're seeing on any device, any web browser that's out there. So we do have this, that was all the material that we did plan on showing today. We always want to leave plenty of time here for questions and be able to answer any of those and be able to make sure that you have all the information you need. Once again, pricing, we always get that question, and I think I already saw that on the screen here. We have the ability to we'll put you in touch with your account managers if you choose, or your partner who would be able to answer that question at any time for you. But other than that, Paul, any other questions that you're seeing that are coming up that we can address at this time?
No, sir. We've addressed all the questions. Either again, I've addressed them in text, or you've addressed them as part of the presentation, and I've followed up with that answer in text as well.
Excellent. We have the team approach is really working well for these demonstrations, so we're going to have to continue on with that. But Paul and I, we're very happy to stay on the line.
We just had one come in. It says, can you show any CRM-related VPM? I don't know if you want to show the CRM sample we have, or you want to go into
that would be fantastic. And actually, whoever is asking that question, thank you for loading the deck for me, because I just remembered I have a great CRM dashboard here that I really wanted to show, but I got a little sidetracked there. This is a CRM dashboard that we created within our system. And once again, this is something that we created using the tool. We can see, once again, we have our different slicers here in order to be able to identify just what we're looking for. We can see our opportunity type by office here across the top. We're looking at the different data there, and I accidentally drilled into one of my drilled in a little bit there so I could learn a little bit more about what's going on. Revenue versus weighted revenue here, days open, opportunity pipeline. And if I scroll down a bit more, I can see here that I'm using, I'm looking at this geo map here to assist me with the information that I'm looking at. As you know, this information is not in Deltek Vision. We never captured any information such as population growth. But based on the information that Tableau makes available as one of the leading business intelligence tools that's out there, we're leveraging their information and we're laying our project or our opportunity information over the top. So as you can see, I'm looking at some of my weighted revenues by city, and I can see I have some pretty good opportunities here in Fort Worth. I have even a bigger box here, it looks like in the Tampa area. So great way of being able to see this information again and be able to decide, well, it looks like there's not a lot of population growth here in, looks like we're in Pennsylvania or Virginia here. We know that our company, we do a lot of infrastructure work, so perhaps we shouldn't have any big bets here in the Northeast where it looks like things are slowing down from a population perspective, but we should really concentrate in some of these blue areas down where Paul lives in Texas. We should move some work down in that direction in order to market more heavily, because they are probably going to need those infrastructure projects in order to accommodate that that population growth that they're going to have over the next few years. I'm going to pause again. Paul, any other questions that we have?
We just have a couple particular questions, not necessarily related directly to the session. There's a particular individual that's looking for access or a better understanding of the non-VPM Excel data or cubes, and then another one just asking about the presentation being furnished post-meeting. So to that end,
we could ask you to
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, if you'd like to reach out to your account manager, they would be able to help you quite a bit more with some of those other details. Also, we are giving this presentation on a fairly regular basis, and if you do have very specific business needs, we'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with you as well, as far as making sure that you're seeing exactly what you need and can get that out of the system. As Paul said as well, we do have a great document that lets us know all the different fields that are available that we can identify that are right out of the box with available in the VPM or in the cubes. We'd be happy to provide that to you as well. Paul, anything I missed there?
All right, Tim, I think I was on mute there answering your question. The other question that came in just now was around Tableau and the licensing procurement that one would need to go through there.
That's Paul and I are blissfully ignorant on pricing, but we can talk to you a little bit more about the licensing. Really, your account managers and your partners would be able to walk you through that process in much more detail. But in general, there's what usually happens. There's another kind of proving out session, making sure this is the right solution for you, the exact solution to help you meet your needs. We're more than happy to go into a little bit more detail or to talk more about what reports you'd like to get out of the system to ensure it's going to meet those needs. And from there, we can talk about some of the different the pricing options as well as the consulting options with using the solution.
As of this time, Tim, there are no additional questions.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for attending. Paul and I will stay on the line for another 5 minutes or so. But if there are no further questions, and we'd like to give you back a little bit more time of your day, and thank you for attending. If you have any other questions, account managers and partners are the best place to start, and Paul and I would be more than happy to follow up with any of the more detailed questions. Thank you very much for attending, and have a great day.